Hey, Buck Run, back again with a missions update. And today I'm joined by Brett Butler. Brett is a former Buck Run member and church planner. He and his wife, Patty, out in the Bay Area. As you can tell from his background, Brett is in the San Francisco, Hayward area. Brett, how are you doing today?
Hey, Scott, thanks for asking. We're doing pretty good, all things considered.
Good. Well, y'all have had been able to talk a few times since COVID hit. Y'all were on the front lines for the United States on a lot
Yeah,
of this. I know a
we were
lot
some of the
has
first ones.
yeah. So no, you've adapted your ministry, and I want to catch our congregation up on you guys' efforts. Tell us just real quick about Sanctuary Bay, and then how you've adapted during this time.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for asking. So for us, we're a network of house churches. One of the very first things the Lord laid on our hearts was the size of the need here in the Bay Area. So there's 8 million people in the Bay Area, and probably around 7.5 million of them are far from the Lord, right? They're lost, they're dying, they're on the way to hell. And you just sort of think about the size of that number and also the fact that there's over 100 languages spoken in the Bay Area. And so how do you have a huge impact on that? Like what tools would the Lord use? And certainly he uses kind of traditional churches the way that we've seen them, where you have a building and hundreds of people join together for worship. But in the Bay Area, real estate is so expensive, parking is so hard to come by, and the amount of lost people is so big that we were just asking ourselves, Lord, are there other tools in the tool belt? And it's kind of funny, Scott. I was thinking, so like it's either today or tomorrow is the 5th anniversary of when we arrived in the Bay Area. And the first weekend after we arrived, I went to this training by some IMB missionaries who talked about the movements of God that are happening in South Asia and India and Nepal and Indonesia, places like that, where hundreds of thousands, in fact, millions of people are coming to know the Lord in this very simple way, usually meeting in homes or in coffee shops or under trees. And how when you pursue the kingdom that way, you don't have these constraints about space and facilities and parking and budget. And we just realized in the moment right there that that's what the Lord wanted us to do. So Sanctuary Bay then is this network of simple churches that meet in various locations all around the Bay, usually in people's homes. And we have a huge emphasis on training people how to share the gospel and make disciples among their own oikos, is the kind of Greek word that I'm sure Virgil could conjugate for us. But this idea of your immediate household, your friends, your neighbors. And that's the emphasis that the Lord has given us, the mission really of Sanctuary Bay.
That's great. So I've been able to come out. Been fortunate to bring a couple teams of students out the last few years, and I've done door-to-door evangelism, or received evangelism and discipleship training. I've been able to partner with some of the different ministries that you serve alongside. In one sense, all of that's different now. And in another sense, y'all are still doing a lot of that. So tell us what training looks like now, how you're continuing to equip people right now.
Such a good question. I mean, we've all had to pivot and make changes, right? Regardless of the model of gathering as church that you have. And yeah, one of the main ways we would share the love of Jesus is just in our neighborhoods, literally going door to door, knocking on doors, just introducing ourselves. Hey, we're your neighbors, and we just want to see how you're doing. Is there anything that's going on with your family that we can pray for? Well, you can't go knock on your neighbor's doors anymore, right? How do you do that? Another way that we would do it is we would train people to do that at work. So for so many of us, we probably spend more time at work than we maybe even do with our own families, more waking hours at least. Another great place to go to workmates and just say, hey, how you doing? Is there anything you need prayer for? Pray over lunch, that kind of thing. Well, now, people are socially distant and either not going to work or not able to work. They've been laid off. And so we just sought the Lord, and we talked to other kind of practitioners of this model about what could we do. And so a lot of it's moved on. So we've had church members who just put out an Instagram, hey, I'm going to be looking at a story of hope from the Bible about how meeting Jesus changed someone's life. And I'm just going to be doing that on Instagram. I'm going to be doing that on Facebook Live. At such and such a time. Anybody wants to join me can do it. And surprisingly, people actually do come. It might be because they have more time on their hands. I think it's because, all this uncertainty has really kind of awoken people to their need for the Lord. So we've seen that, just online DBS, Discovery Bible Studies. We bought sidewalk chalk. I think you guys might have done that too, and just, chalked up the neighborhoods with Bible verses and, how can we pray for you? Um, Another great story, it takes too long to tell in detail, but it started with a training at a Google location here in the Bay Area. And then I prayed for a security guard at Google, and she actually received prayer. I connected her with one of our church members who works at Google. She and the guard kind of had an on again, off again conversation over months. The guard got COVID-19. Well, first she got laid off from her job at Google because Google closed their offices, so they didn't need as many security guards. Then she got COVID-19. Then they moved her out of the hospital and into a motel and to recover. And she wasn't, she didn't have any connection. So she reached out to our friend. Our friend found out there's 11 other people in that motel who also needed supplies, personal care items, blankets, all this stuff, because they were so disconnected from, the world. And so we rallied with another church plant here to provide supplies for these 12 people in this motel, all recovering from symptoms of COVID-19. That was in a part of the Bay called Sunnyvale. So then Patty, Patty, she's like, let's find out what's going on in other places. And so she's calling around to these departments of health, finding out that, hey, guess what? They have a similar thing for homeless people. Because you think about it, so if a homeless person develops this disease, like how do you treat them and how do you socially distance them? And so they've set up either hotel rooms or like FEMA trailers for these people to recover from. And so we did the same thing. We packed care packages for them. A final thing that we're doing is, schools are needing to supply school materials to kids now, especially kids from less advantaged backgrounds. And so we went and helped another church plant in Berkeley pack a few hundred backpacks for needy kids. So those are all different ways that we're still trying to pursue ministry in the days of this coronavirus lockdown.
That's just great. The creativity of different ministries and all of us, and as what we adapt has been cool. And my conversations with you and this conversation have all been encouraging. I'm so grateful for y'all and that the Lord is using you and lots of other people that you're working with there in the Bay Area, an area that myself and our church have come to love because of your ministry there. What are some specific ways, just a couple of ways that we can be praying for you, for Patty, for your ministry this week?
Thanks for asking. The most pressing and personal need, seriously, this week is for Wednesday and Thursday. A lot of people at Butler know that my mom has Alzheimer's, excuse me. And as a result of that, last year, almost just about 11 months ago, my parents moved from where they'd retired in Southern California up here to the Bay Area to an assisted living community that's just about 20 minutes from where me and Patty live. And that's been a great move, worked out well. But mom's Alzheimer's just continues to chip away at her, and my dad has some health issues as well. And really just in the last 2 weeks, we've come to realize it's time for her to move to the memory care section of their assisted living facility. And so they'll be in the same building, but mom and dad won't be able to be in the same apartment anymore. And so we kind of realized that about a week or 10 days ago. And this Thursday, we're moving them, or moving her, I guess I should say. We're moving her. And that's just it's a big emotional burden, to tell you the truth. I mean, the family's handling it really well. I'm really proud of me and Patty and my sister and brother-in-law and my dad. We can all tell, right? It's just this kind of little cloud that follows around. We've all been sort of tired all week, and we think it's going to go well. Talk to the caregivers, and they smile reassuringly, and they're like, it's always harder on the family than it is on the patient. They said the patients usually do very well, but I think that's the main source of prayer. We'll be preparing her room on Wednesday, and then we'll be moving her on Thursday.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. And we as a church will be praying for each of you in that very, very hard week. Brett, we just on behalf of Butler, we love you. We're grateful for you. And church family, when you give to and through Buck Run, you're giving to support Brett and Patty, and many others. The Annie Armstrong Easter offering for the North American Mission Board supports Brett and Patty. They are North American Mission Board missionaries, church planters. This is when you send teams, when you go and you've supported students and adults that have gone. We've sent 3 teams in the last couple of years out there. You are supporting not just Brett and Patty, but the advancement of God's kingdom. And you can be proud of their work right now as they're adapting and not just sitting at home waiting for this to pass, but are very intentionally, which is no surprise. That's Patty. She's going after it, and I love it, and going after ways to minister. And we pray that as you're being the hands and feet of Christ, you'd have opportunities to share Christ, which I know you're so faithful to do. So, Brett, thank you, man. We love you and appreciate you.
Thanks, Scott. We love you and your family and all of Buckround. We so appreciate your love and compassion and partnership with us. The kingdom is advancing. People are growing in the priesthood of the believer. You and I were talking about this. I think it's a big thing that's going to come out of this whole COVID-19. It's just all of us realizing that it's the responsibility of every single Christian to be a disciple maker, to be a witness and ambassador for Jesus. And boy, we need it in places like the Bay Area. And we so just treasure the partnership that we have with the people of Buckround.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you, and thanks for joining us today.
All right, man. Thank you.